Welcome to How to Start a Youth Philanthropy Program, Must-Dos, Tips, and No-Nos presented by Youth Roots. This is going to be a crash course in starting your own youth philanthropy program or youth giving circle. If you're listening to this, you're probably already sold on the benefits of youth philanthropy, but I'll rattle off a few anyways. Youth philanthropy is an amazing skill-building opportunity for the participants involved in the program. Participants also become more involved in the community after they graduate from the program. And lastly, it strengthens community overall. I'm Lauren Syka, the Executive Director of Youth Roots. Youth Roots is a youth philanthropy nonprofit that has been running giving circles since 2010. Before you get out your pen and paper to take notes on this presentation, download our Youth Philanthropy Action Guide. It's a workbook that guides you through all the questions that you'll need to ask and figure out as you are planning for your youth philanthropy program. Just a quick overview of how this talk will run. First, we're going to talk about the why of the program. Then we're going to talk about the program design, the people who make your youth philanthropy program run, and then the details. We're going to start off with talking about the why of your youth philanthropy program. Why do you want to do this program? Is it really for the benefit of the participants involved? Is it to build a tighter community? Is it to provide more funding to nonprofits? Or maybe to build the next generation of philanthropists? You'll have to dig in deep to figure out what is the purpose behind this program, because figuring out this purpose now will help you make a lot of other decisions later on and help you map out your program objectives. Again, I would take the time to download that Youth Philanthropy Action Guide. There are some exercises to help you start working through your why. Next, we have the program design. There are a lot of decisions to make about the design of your program, starting with grant funds, where the money will come from that the youth grant. Will your program have a topical or a geographic focus? What will be the structure of your program? We also recommend certain bare bones to help build a successful program, and then we'll spend a few minutes at the end sharing additional elements that can really enhance your program. So grant funds, there are a couple of options of where your grant funding can come from. First is gifted. This would be participants granting out funding that is gifted from a foundation, an individual or endowment or a company. They receive a pool of funding that they can decide where it goes. The second option is raised. So participants raise funding for the issues. We love doing this raised model because it's really a great skill building opportunity for the participants. And then there's a combo, best of both worlds. The participants build skills related to fundraising while maximizing the amount of money that they get to grant out. Also, having matching challenges can help participants leverage their fundraising efforts. We love this combo, but keep in mind if you're going to have participants fundraise, you'll need to build in curriculum around fundraising so that they know how to go about doing that. But we'll get to that a little bit later. The next piece of program design is the focus. You can leave your program open to tackle general community needs, or you can focus your program on an umbrella issue like mental health. There's really no right or wrong answer to what you decide. It all depends on what's important to you, your organization, your community, and your participants. Having a general focus tends to put more power in the hands of the young people to decide where they want their work to focus. Youth know the issues years before adults, so leaving a general focus also allows the organization to learn from emerging issues facing young people. On the other hand, having a focused umbrella topic is really great for an issue-focused organization like a health foundation or an education nonprofit. It allows participants to dive deep around one topic and explore the greatest issues within that focus. Next, we have the structure. Before really diving into the creation of your program, you'll have to decide how structured you want it to be. Your program could be as organic as youth coming together to talk about community needs and nonprofits, or it could be as structured as a facilitator using agendas with down-to-the-minute details. There are certain must-haves in a youth philanthropy program, or, as we call them here, bare bones. Philanthropy and nonprofits. You'll have to provide the context for the program through basic knowledge of philanthropy and nonprofits. Needs assessment. Participants should conduct a community needs assessment to identify the issues that they will focus on during this program. The next piece is fundraising. It's not technically required, but definitely strongly recommended. If participants raise the money themselves, they will have an increased appreciation for the impact of their grants. Furthermore, learning the art of fundraising helps develop a plethora of leadership and life skills. And finally, we have grant making. Participants will receive real grant applications from nonprofits to consider for funding. Knowledge on how to review grant applications, what to consider when selecting winners, and other important information on the grant-making process will help maximize impact. Participants will ultimately select grantees and award amounts. Youth philanthropy is a great tool to enhance 21st century skills. The topics above are elements you can include to increase skill building for the participants in your program, but they're not absolutely necessary. There are definitely other topics that fit within a youth philanthropy program, so feel free to brainstorm other elements that might fit with your organization. Just know that each topic you decide to build into your program will take at least one 30 to 45-minute activity. It's easy to run out of time. Now that we're through the major parts of program design, let's move on to discussing the people that make youth philanthropy programming possible. First, of course, we have the participants. There is a basic timeline of steps that will need to happen to get program participants in place. The first thing to consider is eligibility. Who will your program serve? What ages? Do you serve specific identities? Is it for students from a specific school? These are just some of the questions you'll have to figure out for who's eligible to participate in your program. Then recruitment. How will you get the word out to your target participants? Consider both messaging, how to share your message, and access, how you will distribute your message. Then there's the application. What will your application look like? What questions will you ask? Make sure your application reflects your target participants. For example, unless you only want top academic students, don't ask for GPA as part of the application process. And next you have placement. How will you decide which applicants get to participate? And who will make these decisions? After this, you're ready to launch your program. The single most critical person to the success of your program is the facilitator, the person that will actually run the meetings with the young people involved. You definitely want a youth worker, not necessarily a philanthropy expert in this role. Key traits include being relatable, having the mentor mentality, being fun, authentic, and flexible. You may want to hire for this position. Make sure to pay for planning and prep time in addition to meeting time when you craft your job description. And next we have training the facilitator. Finding the right person makes training a lot easier, but there are definitely some topics you will want to make sure the facilitator has a grasp on before you start. These include positive youth development, the program itself, the role of the facilitator, DEI, facilitating versus teaching, and group management. There are many other program-related tasks that have to happen for a youth philanthropy program to be successful. Each task could be filled by different people, but we grouped them into this program lead role. We recommend a paid staff person participate as the program lead, but it could also be you, the facilitator, or a dedicated volunteer. I'll give you a second just to read through the type of tasks that a program lead will take on. Next, we have the community. Youth philanthropy programs are a great way to connect various sectors of your community, including leaders, youth, nonprofits, the private sector, and the wider community. Involving community members increases awareness of the issues, exposes youth to a variety of career options and opportunities, and can overall lead to more unity within your community. During this last brief section, we're going to touch base on some of the details and program logistics. Calendars. Once you know the parameters of the program, start to map out meeting dates and deadlines. A 2-week intensive will look very different from a year-long program. Make sure timelines leave enough time for the necessary activities to occur. For example, make sure you give nonprofits at least 3 to 4 weeks after you release the grant opportunity to submit an application before the deadline. Next, we'll touch on space. The space where you hold your meetings is really important. Libraries, community centers, community hubs, and schools offer great meeting space. The best meeting spaces are consistent, collaborative, and central. Also consider what you will need for your meetings. Do you plan on using a projector, a whiteboard? Some spaces offer these amenities. Remote meetings are a great option for participants from a widespread geographic area. Just make sure your meetings are as hands-on and interactive as possible. Remote meetings are very different than in-person meetings. And last, we have communications. Over-communicating with participants is good. Don't expect to send one meeting calendar at the beginning of the program year and for youth to show up at all the meetings for the rest of the program. Texting is the best way to get in touch with young people with quick reminders. Emails are good for sending a lot of non-urgent, not extremely important information. Do not rely on emails to communicate important information. This wraps up the details section and really the final section that we're going to touch on here today. There's way more information, including some great activities, in our Youth Philanthropy Action Guide, available for free at www.youthroots.org/YPAG. This guide also includes information about next-level topics such as evaluations, opportunities for second-year participants, and solving common problems. We hope it's helpful to you as you're creating your youth philanthropy program. Youth Roots also partners with organizations to support them in developing their own youth philanthropy programs. If you're interested in learning more about working with us, contact us at info@youthroots.org. Thanks for your dedication to involving young people in participatory grant making.